Hello everybody, I hope you're doing well. Welcome back to another video. I had the day off yesterday. I hope everyone's having a good Labor Day weekend, long weekend. As I said in the Phillies video, I went and traveled. Got home today in the afternoon, I watched a game with my dad, and then I fell asleep. Like I said, I was going to my grandma's house, and I think her mattress might be older than me. Very uncomfortable, didn't get a lot of sleep, but I got some very nice and deep sleep when I came home. Time to talk a little bit of baseball, and today we're going to be talking about, let me find the logo, the Atlanta Braves. They're playing Sunday Night Baseball right now against the Phillies. Phillies going for a 4-game sweep, but we're going to be talking about the Braves today. I talked about the Phillies last video, and we're going to talk about what went wrong with the Braves. So, first of all, Braves are 61-75. They have made the playoffs every year since 2018. I have been a baseball fan since 2016. Braves are one team that I'm very, very used to seeing in October. Astros and Dodgers and Yankees are probably the other three that I'm most used to because the Astros have made it every year since 2017. Excuse me, had a hiccup. The Dodgers have made it every year since 2013, so there hasn't been a year where I've never seen the Dodgers make the playoffs. And then the Yankees, they made the playoffs in 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. They missed it in 23. They made it last year, and it looks like they're going to make it again this year. So they made it all but 2 years as well since I started becoming a fan. But the Braves have had a bad season this year. I remember at the end of last year, they limped into the playoffs. They barely made it. They had to win a game in that doubleheader at the end of the season against the Mets, and everybody said the Braves aren't this bad. It was injuries, and I definitely agree they're not that bad, and it was injuries. You know, Acuna tore his ACL. He tore one ACL in one of his knees in 2021, and then he tore the other ACL in his other knee in 2024. And there were more injuries besides that, but I agreed. I was thinking to myself, maybe they'll be better next year, but they haven't. And they have had more injuries, but they've also struggled offensively. I would say that was their biggest, the thing they've struggled with the most is offense and injuries. So I have this card here. A lot of it was written on. Top 4 are guys who are struggling offensively. Bottom 3, guys who have not played as much as you'd like them to. I didn't just say injuries because y'all probably saw the second to last name down there. Can't count PEDs as an injury profile, but we'll get to it. 1 second. All right, we're back. So, guys who've been struggling, Ozzy Albies. He's played every game this year in 136 games, 236 average, 303 on base, 353 slugging. 300 slugging in the 300s is pretty low. On base just above 300 is pretty low. 84 OPS plus in 136 games. He has played every single game this year, but he has not looked good. He's a far cry from the Albies we saw in the 21 season. The Albies that was so big in that year in 2023, where they set the record for most amount of home runs in the season. I think they tied it actually with the Twins, who hit the most amount of home runs in the season in 2019. Michael Harris II. He had a really crazy hot streak since July. And if there's no hot streak since July, he did make a batting stance adjustment. This is one of the worst hitters in baseball, pre-July batting stance adjustment. Now, he has gone on a hot streak recently. His stats are up to 249, average 271 on base, 412 slugging in 134 games. He has an 88 OPS plus. And this is a lot better than how Harris started this year. In July, he had an OPS at 583 at one point. That is just so insanely low. A 600 OPS is bad. Anything below that is just downright terrible. Michael Harris II was a big hole in that lineup, and a lineup filled with holes. But I like Michael Harris II. I think it's a good thing that he's bounced back. I like him a lot personally. But there's no denying that April, May, June, Michael Harris II was not good. Nick Allen, 223 average, 285 on base, 251 slugging in 126 games. He has a 53 OPS plus. Nick Allen's I get it, he's a phenomenal defender. But there's just no room for a guy who has a 53 OPS plus to play all but 10 games in a season for your team. I know he's probably going to have some more games off at some point, but there's just no room for that. His OPS is 543. That is just so unbelievably bad. Again, I understand why he's on a major league roster. He's one of, if not the best most talented defenders in the league. but you just can't have a guy with a 53 OPS plus. I don't know what that was. You just can't have a guy with a 53 OPS plus continuing to play every single day. He is an automatic 0 for 4 every day, it feels like. And a 251 slugging is really, really bad. That's like, even when he does make contact, it doesn't go very far. Eli White, not as dramatic as Nick Allen, another good defender, but also another guy you don't want to play 93 games. In 93 games this year, he's batting .234 with a .270 on base, .363 slugging, 81 OPS plus. Again, you just can't have these guys hit like this and play it every day. Maybe you could argue Michael Harris second if he was an 88 OPS plus guy the entire year. His plus defense, he'd be worth it. Maybe you could argue that. But especially with all the injuries and Acuna being out and Profar being spent for PEDs, you need more than this in your offense to win some games. Then we're going to talk about some key injuries. Austin Riley, this year he batted .260 with a .309 on base, .428 slugging in 102 games. He has a 104 OPS plus. The Siri thing went off on my iPad, sorry. It doesn't go off when I say Siri, but if I say other words, it does. But those are Riley's stats, and you'll notice that I said for the season, and that's because he's out for the year. He had multiple IL stints, and he's out for the season. I remember, especially when Acuna got hurt and when Riley got hurt, there was a lot of talk about the Braves basically, how do I explain this? They prided themselves on not having any days off. And as y'all know, I said this in the A's video, I said this in the Phillies video, I like guys who can play all 162. But at a certain point, with how often Albies has gotten hurt, and he hasn't been hurt this year, thankfully, with how often Riley has gotten hurt, with how often Acuna has gotten hurt, at some point you kind of gotta go away from that philosophy, because the lack of off days might be the reason why, might be the reason why that some of these guys can't stay healthy. And nothing against Nacho Alvarez Jr. He has a great name, but he has not been Austin Riley, even when Austin Riley was mediocre this year at the plate. Jurickson Profar, again, I can't say this is an injury. Maybe it's an injury to his intelligence, but after 4 games this year, he got suspended for PEDs. And like I said, with Harris and Allen and Eli White, they desperately missed Profar at the bat. And I know people aren't going to want to talk about this because, he's a cheater. He used steroids. He's batting .268, .372, .491, .372 on base, .491 slugging. In 56 games, he has a 140 OPS plus. In those 56 games, he's been good. I think that he possibly found some real solutions, but it is going to be overshadowed by him taking steroids, and I understand that. But if he can be this good next year, maybe the Braves bounce back a little bit. And then Ronald Acuna Jr. He is one of the most exciting players. He can steal bases. He can hit home runs. I remember when he hit a home run falling down one time. In his 70 games, because again, he's been limited, he was recovering from that torn ACL that he suffered last year. And he also strained his hamstring or did something to his hamstring that caused him to miss some more games. But he has a .293 average, .419 on base, .526 slugging in 70 games. He has a 164 RPS plus. Those are good stats. Everyone should know this, that Acuna is a really good player. It's just a matter of staying healthy with him. He's had 2 key knee injuries now, and it's just a tough thing to see. Injuries suck. I don't like injuries at all. It shouldn't be an unpopular opinion or anything. They really, really suck. I mean, I wish there were no injuries, and Acuna is just such a fun player to watch. I personally think he needs to start DHing more often, because you just can't have, with how many times Acuna's torn his ACL, you just can't have that guy in the outfield making dives, running his hardest. You need him to be at the plate for you if you're the Braves. Maybe not every day DH. Maybe he can play outfield every now and then, but I personally think he should start DHing just to make sure he stays healthy. Hopefully. But yeah, those are 4 players that struggled offensively this year, 3 that missed time. Again, I can't say that Profar was hurt because it was his stupidity was the reason why he missed 80 games, but 3 guys who missed time, 4 guys who were injured. Now I want to talk about the rotation. And the rotation has been kind of, I don't want to say it's been that terrible. It's been really hurt. Here's the rotation. 6 guys who headlined that rotation. Chris Sale, Cy Young contender. Well, not Cy Young contender this year because he missed 2 months due to injury, but he looked like he could be a Cy Young contender this year, and he was a Cy Young last year, and he was one of the reasons why the Braves were able to make the playoffs. He single-handedly carried them to the playoffs at certain points. He had a 2.45 ERA and 95 in the third innings. He spent 2 months on the IL. I thought he was going to be out for the year, but he did recently just come back a few days ago. But then it's out for the season for 3 guys. Smith-Shawver, AJ Smith-Shawver, out for the season. Spencer Schwellenbach, out for the season. Grant Holmes, out for the season. Spencer Strider did come back from Tommy John surgery, but he just hasn't looked the same. He does not have the same amount of strikeout numbers that he did back in 2023 before Tommy John surgery. He just hasn't looked like the same pitcher. He has a 4.95 ERA at 96 in the third innings. Then Bryce Elder. Bryce Elder, I remember when he was so good to start the year in 2023. He was named an All-Star, but he hasn't been that good recently, not in 2024, and he has a 5.85 ERA this year in 124 and 2/3 innings. I didn't mention Smith-Shawver, Schwellenbach, or Holmes. Smith-Shawver had a 3.86 ERA and 44 and a third. Schwellenbach had a 3.09 ERA and 110 in the third. Holmes had a 3.99 and 115 innings. So a lot of injuries to this rotation. 3 guys out for the year. Strider missed some time because he was still coming back from Tommy John surgery. Sale missed a lot of time. And again, nothing against Bryce Elder personally, but you do not want that guy to be the starter who pitches the most amount of innings for you, in my opinion. But we're not going to have it be all negative for the Braves. We're going to finish it off with some positive news. 3, I have Ozuna here, but I didn't really know where to put him. 3 guys who I think have been positive for the Braves this year. First of all is Matt Olson. He's not the 2023 Matt Olson, but he's also not the 2024 Matt Olson either, if that makes sense. Olson had a down year, and 117 OPS plus is a down year for him. That's still pretty good. But this year, 271 average, 397 on base, 460 slugging, 131 OPS plus. Of course, this Matt Olson, he's played all 136 games. 136 games. Like I said, I appreciate that, especially for Matt Olson. He's the new Iron Man after Whit Merrifield. Whit Merrifield's Iron Man streak was snapped in 2022, I think it was. I appreciate him a lot. He's one of my favorite players. Drake Baldwin, possible Rookie of the Year candidate. I don't know if he's played enough games. He hasn't been getting as much playing time as you'd think he would. 278 average, 347 on base, 450 slugging. In 99 games, he got a 122 OPS plus. I think you're definitely happy with Drake Baldwin if you're a Braves fan this year. Again, Ozuna, he's not nearly as good as he was last year or in 2023. I just added him here because he had a 114 OPS plus this year, 227 average, 358 on base, 404 slugging in 127 games. He has a 114 OPS plus. Like I said, he's had a down year, but compared to Albies or Harris II or Nick Allen or Eli White or even Austin Riley, that's not bad. Ozuna is a free agent after this year. I definitely thought the Braves would trade him at the deadline. I think that was another problem with the Braves, that they didn't really want to sell too much, but also they should have at least traded a guy like Ozuna, who is going to be a free agent after this year, right? Last but not least, I want to mention Hurston Waldrop. He had a couple of starts last year before getting hurt in the majors. He didn't look very good. He's come up in the majors, and he's actually started Sunday Night Baseball today, and he had another good outing. I think he only gave up 1 run to Brandon Marsh, solo home run. Waldrop in 5 games, 4 starts, 0.90 ERA, 30 innings pitched. Small sample size, but he has looked like the Hurston Waldrop that everyone was expecting last year or when Waldrop was in the minors. So, that's what's going on with the Braves. Offensive struggles, pitching injuries, offensive injuries. It's kind of an unfortunate year for the Braves. But it happens to every team. I think it'll happen to every team. I think the Astros will eventually miss the playoffs at one point. Maybe not the Dodgers will miss the playoffs at one point because they're just so well run, unfortunately. But it happens to everybody. Eventually, the golden age for a team runs out. And I hope that one World Series was worth it for the Braves fans. I'm sure for a lot of fans it'd be worth it. So yeah, I hope everybody enjoyed this video. I hope I talked well. Like I said, I was very tired when I got home. I did not get very good sleep last night because I was sleeping on a mattress that was like 20 years old. And yeah, so I fell into like a 3-hour nap, very deep sleep. So I hope I pronounced their video correctly. Sorry for missing a couple days. Like I said, school and my hands, that's been kind of stressful. But I should be back talking about more baseball. And I hope everybody enjoyed, like always. And I'll talk to you all again in another video. Goodbye.